So welcome to all of you Shiksha 360, and today basically we have to discuss the MCQ session set number 9, and that is basically brought from the chapter number 5 and one or two questions basically from the chapter number 6, and we have to discuss the questions from 132 to 145. Clear? And we have to discuss the question basically from 132 to 145. Okay, and we have to discuss the question basically today from chapter number 5 and 6. Clear? Most of the question basically from the chapter number 5 and one or two question basically from the chapter number 6. So let's start our discussion. Please don't draw anything on the screen and please remove that. So let's move towards the question. Please go through the question very carefully. This is the case study type question, as we have already discussed one question regarding that. So question number 132 basically presents on the screens now. Business cycles are usually measured by considering the growth rate of real gross domestic product. Clear? Business cycles are basically usually measured by considering the growth rate of real gross domestic product, despite being termed cycles. These fluctuations basically in the economic activity, clear? Like basically there are fluctuations in the business cycles, clear? Basically do not follow mechanical or predictable product pattern, clear? Despite being termed cycles, basically these fluctuations basically in the economic activity do not follow mechanical or predictable product pattern, clear? Do not follow mechanical or predictable product pattern, clear? So now first question here. A dash occurs, clear? Basically what occurs? When the rate of growth decelerates, clear? Decelerates, matlab decreasing. Okay, it means that it is decreasing. Clear? A dash occurs when the rate of growth decelerates, but national output is still rising. Clear? Basically, but national output is still rising. If the economic continues to grow, even with respect to a slower rate, without falling into outright recession, this is known as a soft landing. Clear? Basically, this is known as a soft landing. Clear? This is known as a soft landing. Clear? So what it will be? Boom, slowdown, recession, or a recovery. Clear? Boom, slowdown, recession, or a recovery. Clear? Recession or a recovery. Clear? So basically here what it says that basically growth decelerates, but the national output is still rising. Clear? Basically, but the national output is still rising. Clear? So basically it leads to the boom. No, not it is boom. It is a recession. No, basically in the recession, basically both it is going to fall. A recovery, it is starting to rise. Clear? Basically it is starting to rise. No, it is starting to rise. Clear? In the recovery phase, basically it starts to rise again. So we can say that basically it is the condition of the slowdown. Clear? It is generally basically it is the condition of the slowdown. Clear? It is a general question. Not we can say that basically like a 4 stage. Just basically they are asking. It is a general question that is basically a slowdown occurs. Clear? That is slowdown occurs basically when the rate of growth goes down, but the national output is still rising. Clear? Basically, but the national output is still rising. Clear? So option number B is the correct answer. That is slowdown. A slowdown occurs basically when the rate of growth decelerates, but the national output is still rising. Clear? If the economy continues to grow, even with respect to a slower rate, without falling into outright recession, basically this is known as a soft landing. Clear? Now move to the next question. A dash means a fall in the level of real national output. That is period when the rate of economic growth is negative. Clear? Now we have to find that basically rate of economic growth is negative. Clear? So basically when the rate of growth is negative, that is basically it is going to continuously fall. Clear? Like this one is going and this one is fall. Clear? A dash means a fall in the level of the real national output. Clear? A fall in the level of real national output, that is a period when the rate of economic growth is negative. Clear? Basically when the rate of economic growth is negative, when it is negative, boom, not. Slowdown, not. Basically it is the case of the recession. Clear? Basically it is the case of the recession. A recession basically means a fall in the level of real national output. Clear? It is the case of the recession. So option number C is the answer. That is the recession. Now move to the next question. Question number 134. A dash occurs. A dash occurs when the real national output picks up from the trough reached at the low point of the recession. Clear? Basically picks up from the trough. Clear? Picks up from the trough reached at the low point of the recession. Clear? Basically reached at the low point of the recession. Clear? Dash occurs when the real national output picks up from the trough and reached at the low point of the recession. So what it will, which case? Clear? Boom, slowdown, recession, recovery. Clear? So it is the case of the recovery. Clear? So option number D is the answer. Basically it is the case of the recovery. Clear? So it is the basically case of the recovery. Now move to the next question. That is also danger of demand pull and cost push inflation. Clear? There are basically two types of the inflation basically which we have discussed regarding that. First one is the demand pull inflation. Second one is the cost push inflation. Clear? Danger of demand pull inflation and the cost push inflation. If the economy overheats occur, at which phase of the business cycle? Clear? Danger of demand pull inflation and the cost push inflation. If the economy overheats occur at which phase of business cycle? Clear? Basically occurs at which phase of business cycle? Boom, slowdown, recession, and recovery. Clear? Demand pull and cost push inflation. Clear? That is basically when there is basically more demand. And it also, we can say that basically rising cost. Clear? Danger of demand pull and cost push inflation, basically that occurs basically in the period of the boom. Clear? So option number A is the answer. That is the boom. Option number A is the answer. That is the boom. So please tell fast up to this much point. It is clear to all of you. Please respond fast. Basically, what is the meaning of all these different things? What is the meaning of basically all these different things? Please tell fast if you have any doubt. Now move to the next question. That is regarding also the business cycle or the trade cycle. Clear? This is similar. So an important characteristics of trade cycle is, clear, an important characteristic of trade cycle is, that is basically they all have the same amplitude, all are of the same duration, all pass through the same phase, all show a rise to prosperity basically which is quicker than the fall to depression. Clear? Basically than the fall to depression. We know that basically they have not the same amplitude and not they have the same duration. Clear? Some will take basically long time, some will take less time. Clear? But we know that basically they have all the same phase. Clear? Basically they have all the same phase. That is basically one is the boom, recession, depression, recovery. Clear? But we will know that basically all of them have the same phase. Clear? Basically all of them have the same phase. Boom, recession, depression, and recovery. Clear? Boom, recession, depression, and recovery. Clear? So that is basically it is a character that is all passed through the same phase. Clear? That is all passed through the same phase. Clear? So the important characteristics of the trade cycle, that is all passed through the same phase. Clear? So option number C is the correct answer here. Clear? Option number C is the correct answer here. That is all pass basically through the same phase. Clear? So option number C is the correct answer. Clear? Not option number D. Clear? So please remember these things. Like what they are trying to say here. Clear? Like what they are trying to say. Clear? Phase is to be same. Clear? Duration of the phase, we can say that basically it is to be different. But phase is to be same. Clear? Because all business cycle basically will go through the same phase. Okay? So please, these questions are very tricky one. Clear? All the questions which I have to discuss from 136 to 145, all are the tricky questions. Clear? You have to think over that. Clear? Now move to the next question. And I request all of you, please at least 2 times read the question. So which of the following is not a characteristics of the phase of recession basically in the business cycle? Clear? Which of the following it is not the characteristic? That is basically in the phase of the recession in the business cycle. Clear? Basically in the phase of the recession in the business cycle. Clear? If we draw the diagram from this one to this one, we can say that this is a recession. From this one to this one, we can say that depression. This is the recovery. Okay, so this one, we have to find that this one. Which of the following is not a characteristics of the phases of recession basically in a business cycle? The consumption expenditure decreases. Clear? The consumption expenditure decreases. Clear? This one is a true one. That is, this one is going down. That the consumption expenditure decreases. The investment expenditure decreases also because there is less demand. So basically, there is investment expenditure. There is also decrease. Okay. So the unemployment rate increases. Clear? The unemployment rate increases. This one is also correct one. Clear? As the output is basically, we can say that the demand is going to decrease. So the unemployment rate basically it is going to increase. Clear? So all the 3 points are to be corrected. Fourth one is the government suffers from fiscal deficit as the government tax revenue decreases and expenditure increases. Clear? As such, basically, we have not discussed anything in detail regarding that. Clear? That is fiscal deficit, tax revenue decreases, expenditure increases. Clear? There is anything regarding that under the recession. Okay? So option number D is the answer here. Clear? Option number D is the answer. Now move to the next question. Question number 138. In which phase or in which of the following phase of a business cycle actual demand stagnates? That is basically, we can say that basically there is not any rise, there is not any fall. Basically, it's going to be stable. Clear? It's going to be, we can say that stagnates. Clear? Like basically, if there is demand of 40 kg, so basically demand of 40 kg, basically it is continuously going on. Clear? Demand of 40 kg, basically it is going on. Clear? That is, there is not any rising, there is not any fall. Clear? So let's go through the diagram. Please answer these questions only. Like one student basically gives the correct answer. Clear? So basically this one is the stage. Clear? This one is the stage basically when it reaches to the peak. Clear? Their demand, actual demand basically stagnates. Clear? Basically when it reaches to the peak, at that place basically their actual demand stagnates. Clear? There basically in which of the following phase of a business cycle basically actual demand stagnates? Expansion, peak, contraction, recovery. Clear? Expansion, peak, contraction, recovery. Clear? So what is the correct answer here? That is the option number B is the correct answer. Clear? That is the option number B is the correct answer. That is at the peak. Clear? At the peak basically actual demand stagnates. Clear? So at the peak basically actual demand stagnates. Option number B is the correct answer. Clear? Option number B is the correct answer. That is basically at the peak actual demand stagnates. Clear? At the peak basically actual demand stagnates. Now move to the next question. Question number 139. Clear? Now we have to find it. Match the following. Clear? Match the following. On one side basically we have boom, recession, recovery and depression. Clear? Boom, recession, recovery and depression. Clear? On the other side we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let's discuss. Clear? A boom, boom, one by one. Clear? Basically one is say that basically business activity is at high level with increasing income, output and employment at micro level. Second one is basically gradual fall in income, output and employment with business activity in a low gear. Third one is basically steady rise in the journal price level and income, output and employment. Fourth one is unprecedented level of unemployment and drastic fall in the income and output. Clear? And drastic fall basically in the income and output. Clear? So this one, boom, it is related to basically option number, that is 1. Clear? A is related to the 1. So either this one or either this one is the answer. Clear? Now we have to not go with this one. Now we have to not go with this. Now we know that basically here B2 is the same. Now move toward the recovery part. Clear? Now move toward the directly. So B is basically 2. Clear? B is basically 2. We know that. Clear? This one is already clear. Now move toward the C. That is recovery. So we have only left 3 and 4. So recovery basically it is a steady rise in the journal price level and income, output and employment, or unprecedented level of unemployment and drastic fall in the income and output. So recovery basically that is basically there is a rise. Clear? There is a steady rise in the journal price level and income, output and employment. Clear? So that is C is 3. Clear? That is C is 3. Clear? So option number A is the correct answer. Clear? Option number A is the correct answer, 139A. Okay. So just they are twisting the things, clear? Just they are twisting the things at some places. Now move to the next question. Which of the following basically does not occur during an expansion? Clear? Which of the following basically does not occur during an expansion? Clear? So this question basically I left for the practice purpose. Clear? This question basically I left for the practice purpose. In the next MCQ discussion, basically I will discuss this question. So I request to all of you, please take the snapshot or please comment in the comment section. Clear? What is the answer of this question? Clear? In the next session, this is question basically for the practice purpose. Okay. So next session, basically, I will discuss this question along with the explanation. Clear? Now move to the next question. Please go through the question. Underemployment. Clear? Basically, underemployment of both men and materials. Clear? Basically, underemployment of both men and materials is a characteristic of which phase? Clear? Basically, underemployment. Underemployment basically of man and material. Basically, it is a characteristics of which phase? Depression, boom, recovery, and recession. Clear? Basically, in this phase, clear, we can say that in the recession phase, clear, unemployment, it is basically going to be start. Clear? Underemployment. Here we will relate unemployment. Underemployment basically of both man and materials is a characteristics of which phase? Clear? Depression, boom, recovery, recession. Clear? Depression, boom, recovery, recession. Clear? That is basically underemployment of both men and materials is a characteristics of which phase? Depression, boom, recovery, recession. Clear? So the correct answer here, that is option number A. That is the depression. Clear? That is the depression. That is the depression. Clear? That is basically they are even trying to start work, clear, or thinking that basically they can even work at the low phases, clear, and in this stage basically they can start working, clear, in the low salary, clear, low salary, clear. So this is the depression, that is underemployment basically of the both men and material. Basically it is the characteristics of the depression phase. Now move to the next question. Typically the rate of inflation begins to increase at which stage of the business cycle? Clear? Basically at which stage of the business cycle? Clear? Typically the rate of inflation basically begins to increase at which stage of the business cycle? Depression, contraction, expansion, and peak. Clear? Depression, contraction, expansion, and peak. Clear? So basically it begins to increase. Clear? Basically it begins to increase. Like this one, we can say that growth is going to rise. Clear? Basically growth is going to rise. Clear? So basically typically the begins to increase, basically that is, it is basically in the case of the expansion. Clear? That is basically it is case of the expansion. Clear? That the inflation is going to rise. Clear? Basically inflation is going to rise and it is at the maximum at this place, and again basically in the contraction phase basically it is going to fall. Clear? It is going to rise. Clear? Begins to increase. Clear? Begins to increase. That is basically we can say that expansion phase. Clear? That is basically the expansion phase. Now move to the next question. In which phase of the trade cycle is inflation most likely to emerge? Clear? In which phase of the inflation? In which phase of the trade cycle basically is inflation basically most likely to emerge? Clear? In which phase of the trade cycle basically is inflation most likely to emerge? That is boom, recession, recovery, peak. Clear? Boom, recession, recovery, peak. That is basically in the boom phase. Clear? That is basically in the boom phase. Now move to the next question. When the production of a thing basically it is maximum. Clear? Basically when the production of a thing basically it is maximum, this stage it is called. Clear? Basically when the production of a thing basically it is maximum, this stage it is called as the boom, recovery, recession, depression. Clear? That is basically it is called the boom. Clear? That is basically it is called the boom. Clear? So up to this much point basically we have discussed the questions regarding the chapter number 5. Clear? Basically, we have discussed the question regarding the business cycle. Clear? So in the examination, basically, if they ask any question regarding the business cycle, definitely you are able to answer the question. Clear? Because we have discussed all the different types of the question. Clear? Now move to the last question of our today discussion. Central Statistical Organization. Clear? Central Statistical Organization, that is CSO, classifies the industrial sector basically into how many parts? Clear? Basically, Central Statistical Organization basically classifies the industrial sector basically into how many segments? Clear? 2 segments, 3 segments, 4 segments, 6 segments. Clear? So basically it is divided into basically into 3 segments. Clear? Into 3 segments. Option number B is the answer. So clear? Can anyone tell basically in which 3 segments basically it is to be divided by the Central Statistical Organization? Can anyone name? Can anyone name of these 3 segments? Not, sir, it is not primary. Clear? Basically, primary, secondary, tertiary, basically it is the economy. Basically, we have divided basically into economy, not small micro. This is also not. Secondary manufacturing, this is also not. Clear? Central Statistical Organization basically classifies the industrial sector basically. I have already provided you the slides, and specifically at that time basically I will tell you basically when we will discuss the session in the live discussion. That is basically very important. Basically, it divided the industrial segment basically into 3 segments. First one is the mining and quarrying. Second one, that is manufacturing and electricity. Third one is gas and water supply. Okay, so please remember this one. Either they will ask basically from this chapter, basically only 2 to 3 main questions are to be formed. First one is the basically into how many segments basically it is to be divided. That is basically into the 3 segments. Yeah. Next one basically name of the 3 segments. First one is the mining and quarrying. Second one is the manufacturing and electricity. Third one is the gas and water supply. Clear? Third one is the basically gas and the water supply. Clear? So please remember all these types of questions. Clear? In the examination, basically you will find these types of questions. So thanks to all of you for joining this session. Clear? Basically tomorrow I will provide you the chapter number 12. Clear? Chapter number 12. Clear? As per the schedule, basically I will provide you the session of that. Clear? So thanks to all of you for joining this session.